This is Arvin Vora, founder of Vora Method and author of The Equation for Excellence, How to Make Your Child Excel at Math. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to distinguish direct objects from, well, everything else. Before we get to direct objects, we're going to do a quick review of prepositions and prepositional phrases. If you remember, a preposition is a word that tells you the relationship between a worm and an apple. A worm can be on the apple, on is a preposition, and on the apple is a prepositional phrase. Through the apple is a prepositional phrase, and through is the preposition. Inside the apple is a prepositional phrase, inside is the preposition. Now, you also have what's called the object of the preposition. Inside the apple is the prepositional phrase, inside is the preposition, and the apple is called the object of the preposition. Up the apple, up is the preposition, and apple is the object of the preposition. Beside the apple, beside is the preposition, and apple is the object of the preposition. And in this video, one of the many things we're going to do is help you learn the difference between direct objects and objects of prepositions, and a few other things as well. Direct objects have to receive the action of the verb directly. I'll give you an example. Fred ate a fork. What does that mean? It means he took a fork, put it in his mouth, chewed it up, broke it into pieces, swallowed the pieces of the fork. That's what it means to eat a fork. And in this case, fork is the direct object. Ate is the verb, Fred is the subject, and what is Fred eating? He's eating a fork. The fork is directly receiving the action of eating. The fork is being eaten. Over here, though, compare this to this. Over here, we have something totally different. We say Fred ate with a fork. He didn't eat the fork. So in this case, fork is not the direct object of ate because he didn't eat the fork. In order for a fork to be the direct object of ate, it would have to be Fred ate a fork. That's the only way to do that. Now, what do you have here instead? Well, with a fork, what's that? Sound familiar? Yeah, that's a prepositional phrase. The preposition is with, and fork is the object of the preposition with. It's part of the prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase begins with the preposition, and in this case, it's followed by the object of the preposition. Over here, Fred saw a window. What does that mean? It means he looked at a building, he saw a window. He was sitting in a room, he's like, oh, look, there's a window. In this case, window is the direct object. The window is the thing that is being seen. Fred's glancing over, he's like, oh, isn't that cool? I see a window. Now, let's look at this one. Fred saw through a window. Here's not Fred isn't seeing the window. He's looking through the window. Through a window is guess what? That's right, it's a prepositional phrase. It starts with the preposition through. Through is a preposition, and window is the object of that preposition. What about this? Fred hunted a dog. Here's what that means. It means that Fred is going through the woods with a gun, and he's looking around for the dog so he can shoot the dog. That's what it means to hunt a dog. Fred hunted, and so in this case, Fred hunted the dog. Hunted is the verb, Fred is the subject, and dog is the direct object because the dog is being hunted. In this case, though, what do we have? Fred hunted with a dog. With a dog is actually a prepositional phrase. With is the preposition, and dog is the object of the preposition. When we say Fred hunted with a dog, it means that Fred is going through the woods hunting some other animal, maybe a deer, and right beside him is his trusty sidekick, this dog. He and the dog are working together. In this case, Fred hunted the dog. He and the dog aren't working together. The dog is receiving the action, Fred is doing the action. Fred is doing the hunting, the dog is getting hunted. Now let's talk about indirect objects. In this case, let's look at this sentence. Fred gave the ball to the cow. Well, the verb is gave. What is he giving? He's not giving a cow. He's giving a ball, and then the cow is like receiving the ball. What do we call this? This is actually something called an indirect object. The direct object is ball because the ball is the thing that's receiving the action of the verb. But it's being given to the cow. So to the cow, a cow is called an indirect object. Now you might say, whoa, isn't that just a prepositional phrase? Yeah, technically it is. Indirect objects are often actually found inside of prepositional phrases, structurally speaking. You can look at it like as a prepositional phrase. To the cow is a prepositional phrase. To is a preposition. Cow is the object of the preposition. But this is a particular type of situation which we call an indirect object because it is an action. It is something that is that something else is being given to. Fred gave the money to John. Same idea. The direct object, what is it? It's not John. It's money. He's giving money. Money is the thing being given. To John lets you know that John is what we call an indirect object. And yes, if you're thinking that it's a prepositional phrase, it is. To is a preposition, and John is the object of the preposition. Now, here's the thing about indirect objects. They're not always in prepositional phrases. They can be structured like this. Fred gave John the Frisbee. Now, imagine this. Fred gave John the Frisbee. Now, picture that in your mind. What's happening? What is the thing being given? John isn't being given. No. The Frisbee is being given. So the Frisbee is the direct object, and here John is the indirect object because he's getting the Frisbee. He's the person that the Frisbee is being given to. Fred gave the cat a treat. Again, imagine this. Fred gave the cat a treat. Close your eyes and think about it. Fred gave the cat a treat. What is actually being given? The treat is being given. It's being given to the cat, and the cat is the indirect object, and the treat is the direct object. That's, by the way, pretty much the same as this sentence. Fred gave a treat to the cat. Again, treat is the direct object. It's the thing being given, and cat is the indirect object. Now, if you notice that this is in this case, it's inside of a prepositional phrase, yeah, you're right. To the cat is a prepositional phrase, to is a preposition, and cat is the object of a preposition, and it's also an indirect object. It's something that's something else is being given to. Now let's talk about the final confusing area, which is something called a predicate nominative. Let's look at this. Fred is a dog versus Fred hit a dog. Well, when Fred hit a dog, that's just a direct object. Fred is doing some hitting, and the thing that's being hit is the dog. But Fred is a dog. Well, Fred isn't doing something to a dog in that sentence. He himself is a dog. And in this case, this is what we call a predicate nominative. Is not an action verb. It's called a linking verb. And a linking verb is a verb that is used to help describe the subject. Fred is a dog is telling you about Fred. It's telling you what Fred is. It's not something that Fred did something else to. Fred's not doing something to a dog here. Fred is a dog. And so in this case, is something called a linking verb. And dog is the predicate nominative. Now let's go through a few of these, and you can test yourself out as we go. Fred punched the robot. What do we have here? Well, we have punching. That's the action. Fred is the subject doing the punching. And the robot is directly being punched. So in this case, you know what we have? We have a direct object. Here, Fred is a robot. In this case, Fred isn't doing anything to the robot. He just is a robot. The robot is what Fred is. Fred and robot are the same thing. Are the same thing. So in this case, is a linking verb. Fred is the subject, and robot is the predicate nominative. Fred smacked a dog. In this case, Fred is doing something to a dog. Smacking is the action. It's the verb. Fred is the subject, and dog is the direct object. What about this? Fred saw a dog. He's not doing anything violent to a dog, but he's doing something to a dog. He is seeing it. So once again, the dog is the direct object. It's directly receiving the action of the verb. Fred is a dog. Well, in this case, is Fred doing something to a dog? No, Fred is a dog. So in this case, Fred is a subject and dog is a predicate nominative and is a linking verb. Fred ate a dog. Well, now Fred is doing something directly to a dog. He's eating the dog directly. In this case, Fred is the subject, ate is the verb, and dog is the direct object. Fred threw a dog. Again, he's doing something directly to a dog. Threw is the verb, Fred is the subject, and dog is the direct object. Fred threw a ball to a dog. Well, he's not throwing the dog, he's throwing the ball, so the ball is the direct object. To a dog is... well, it's a couple things. He's kind of giving a ball to something. So in that case, the dog is an indirect object. But as you've noticed, structurally, it's inside of a prepositional phrase. To is the preposition, and dog is the object of the preposition. And to a dog is a prepositional phrase. So here, dog is the object of a preposition, not a direct object. It's also, you can see it as an indirect object. It's actually both. Finally, let's look at this one. Fred ate with a dog. Well, is he eating the dog? No, he's eating with a dog. So dog is not directly being eaten. It's not receiving the action of the verb, so it is not the direct object. But it's something. Well, let's look at this. With a dog. With is a preposition, and dog is the object of the preposition with. It's not the direct object because the dog is not being eaten. Now, feel free to watch this video, 5, 6, 10, 1,000 times, however many times, and get this practice. It's learning how to differentiate direct objects from other things. It's hard. It's tricky at first. It's a prerequisite skill though for any kind of advanced grammar. You have to know how to do this. Just like if you want to learn how to do multiplication, you absolutely have to know how to do addition. If you want to do any kind of grammar, you absolutely must know how direct objects work. And if you're having any difficulty with this, let your instructor know, and feel free to watch this video as many times as you like. We're going to review this a million times. We're going to make sure that this is 1,000% in your mind so that you have the foundation for advanced grammar, advanced reading, and all other advanced reading and grammar and language-related subjects.